People think they need perfect conditions to start, when in reality, starting is the perfect condition.
When I looked at 2 hours later and nothing had actually gotten done, the moment you begin working is when your output per unit of time goes up. And so that makes beginning the single greatest hack that you can have for everything else that you do in work. Because the thing is, when you start working, you start getting in the mood to work, right? Like, it takes me like 5 minutes of actually being in it to then get a little bit of a lay of the land to then get into it. But I used to take hours to delay to start the first 5 minutes. And so my time compression of when I thought I should start doing something and when I started doing it over time is just compressed to the point where it's like the moment I think that I need to start doing it, stop halfway through the sentence because it'll drive you mad.
The brain abhors an open loop. And finishing halfway through a sentence reduces the activation energy required to begin that sentence the next day, and it keeps it in your mind too overnight.
One that is probably the most common is, I will do what is required. And this work needs doing. And there's just no way around it. And it's just looking at the face of the work and it's like smiling back at me like, no one else is going to do it. And the thing is like, to quote myself from earlier, like, I've never regretted working harder, ever, not once. I had a particularly good weekend, and she said, I'm pretty sure happiness is stringing as many of those days in a row as you possibly can.
You want your average Tuesday to look the way that you want most of your life to do.
I worked very hard on something that I felt was worth doing. I worked out and I spent time with people that I enjoy being around. If I do those three things, I had a good day. I think the point that you were making earlier, I think it's worth hitting on again, which is just that, like, most people's definition of work is a negative one, which is why they abhor it, which is also why they misunderstand so many people who quote, I'll say quote here, are successful or ahead of them or whatever, is that both people, one person says the word work and the other person hears the word pain. And so the first step to like becoming more successful is understanding the language that the people who are successful are using. Is that the people who are, quote, addicted to work make it easy to be addicted to work because they do things worth doing. And I think a lot of it is coming down to making sure that you take the few precious seconds that we have to do the few things that are worth doing for the rest of your life.